Jay, retirement's tough on your wife too, because all of a sudden she gets twice as much husband and half as much money. You got to keep that in
Oh.
mind too.
Welcome, everyday people, to the In the Pocket with JayBo podcast. And my name is JayBo, and boy, we have a great one today. But before we get into it, I want to remind everybody to please catch our full episodes on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. We also advertise the podcast on YouTube Shorts, on Facebook, on TikTok primarily, and also on LinkedIn. So we're all over the place. We're on all your favorite podcast platforms. You can't miss us. This is season 4, episode 1. How about that? We're in season 4. We have a special guest today. His name is Jack the Ratler Lippa, and we're going to be talking about retirement, and we're going to call it Retirement Blues. But before we get into all that, Jack, I want to welcome you to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. The retirement blues.
You guys will see why we kicked the blues terminology in this in a few minutes. I want to let people know Jack was also a guest on the very first season that we had with In the Pocket with JayBo when I was still doing audio only. So again, we really appreciate you being back, Jack. So tell the guests a little bit about yourself, please.
And it got more hits than the other people in the band, but I just, that doesn't matter. I just wanted to throw that in there. I am Jack the Ratler, and the Ratler is not my last name. Lippa is my last name. I think it's Hungarian, something like that. But I've known Jay for a good while. I was born in New Orleans, just like Jay. I'm a NOLA baby. I eat both ends of the crawfish. That is a fact. And I was born in the Baptist Hospital on St. Charles, in the French Quarter. I mean, that's about as NOLA as you can get. But I moved
You got
to
that right.
I went out to California to sow my oats and find my wealth, and married a sweet little girl, Marianne. I got her back to Texas just as quick as I could, away from all the fruits and the nuts out there, and we've got 4 daughters, and I mean, it's just been, life has been happily ever after. All my kids live close by, and all my grandkids live close by. That's a real blessing. And I get the pleasure and the privilege of sitting in on a little harmonica with the Bio Junction Band. And they are by far one of the best bands I've ever had the pleasure to play with. They truly are. They work hard, they play hard, and they sound right.
Thank you. So, Jack, I want to let everybody know that you're not in Cozumel right now, but you are at the Water Point Marina on Lake Conroe in Conroe, Texas right now. What a great background you have
That's
there.
right.
And I think it's very appropriate for our retirement show.
It is truly the retirement blues. I pretty much live on a houseboat. It's a 42-foot, 40-year-old single-story houseboat. I'm out here Monday through Fridays every week for over a year now, and I go home on weekends just to remind my wife that she's still married. But it's great. I live out here all the time. There are 11 really nice restaurants within walking distance from me here, and I eat good in my retirement, Jay, I must say.
I love it. Well, look, I know at this point in the show, I usually have an icebreaker question for people. I'm going to keep yours pretty simple, Jack, with my question. And it's going to be, what is retirement like? That's my first question.
What is retirement like? Well, it's pretty nice on a houseboat, I'll tell you that much.
There you go.
But I got to tell you, you got to keep in mind that retirement goes along with getting older. I mean, not many people retire when they're young. When you're retired, you're probably older, and it's paradoxical to think that the idea of living a long life appeals to everyone, but the idea of growing older doesn't appeal to anyone.
Right.
But to be old and wise, you first have to be young and stupid. And I survived those years, but I'm just loving retirement. And, you don't have to cut your hair anymore if you're retired. You don't have to shave. Now, you ought to take a shower every now and then if you're married. But, I mean, right. I sleep till the crack of noon, and I get up and I spend the first half of my day wondering if it's too late for coffee, and the second half of my day wondering if it's too early for alcohol.
That's what I'm saying.
Jay, retirement's tough on your wife, too, because all of a sudden she gets twice as much husband and half as much money. So you got to keep that in mind too. It's hard on Mary Ann, but getting old is tough. That goes along with retirement. You'll be there someday, and
Yes.
like they say, it's when everything hurts and what doesn't hurt doesn't work. That's what happens when you get older. And I
Okay.
retired
Yeah.
from the airlines. United Airlines. I was an ex-Continental for a long time. I survived the merger with Continental and United. And, everybody talks about all the traveling you're going to be able to do with flight benefits when you're retired. Well, I got to tell you about the only traveling I've been doing has been to the doctor and to the pharmacy. But mentally, Jay, I'm 24 years old. I'm as sharp as a tack. There's no doubt about it. But physically, I'm pretty sure I fought in the Civil War. I mean, I'm aging like a glass of milk. But I don't have any problems that a couple of $1,000s worth of good therapy won't fix. That's
There you
for
go.
sure. And in fact, ask Jerry. I am just the right amount of wrong. I mean, you get retired and you know all the answers and nobody's asking you the questions anymore. And the worst part, Jay, is peeing. I mean, every time the only time I don't have to pee is when I'm peeing.
All right, Jack. That's a wrap for that block.
But you got to remember, when you're retired, you're old, and that's not a bad thing.
Woo. But that has to be the funniest icebreaker session I've ever been through. My eyes are watering right now.
You got to excuse me. I've been eating the catfish bait all morning, and it's kind of starting to affect me. Yeah.
Well, before we get into the 3 questions that I have for you today during our little session talking about retirement, and everybody that knows you around this area knows you as a outstanding harmonica player. So if you wouldn't mind, we didn't have this written in your contract, but would you mind giving us a little rock and roll tune there for a second, a little bluesy tune or something?
You
Just give us a little sample of Jack the Rattler.
I always have a harmonica in my pocket. I never leave home without it. And here's just a little blues riff. Let's see what I got here.
Here we go.
I'll play it on my iPhone.
In the key of.
I'm in the pocket with JayBo, out on my boat. Some say he's really good. I think he's the GOAT. I got the blues. There you go.
That was awesome, man. Thank you so much.
I'll be darned.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be talking about here today.
We're having
really,
meat
it's
and
about
potatoes?
retirement blues. Meat and potatoes, baby. Mashed potatoes with some gravy. So let's talk about retirement blues, staying young through music a little bit and other things related that come with retirement. So my first question.
Okay.
Many people dream about retirement. What have you learned about staying active, engaged, and happy after leaving a career with United Airlines?
Let me see. I had a pretty good, hard-hitting job at United and Continental. I stayed real busy the whole time. But you wake up the next morning and, there's nothing to do. It's like someone flicked a light switch. But actually, there is a lot to do, and there's a few parameters you have to think about when you're retired. Having your family close by is nice, but without saddling up and riding my religious high horse that I get on every now and then, people say they lose a sense of purpose. But the bottom line is, any God-fearing Christian, every morning he wakes up, he has a sense of purpose. You know that. It's to serve Christ.
Right.
I won't go into that because you know the story. But actually, The coolest thing about retirement, I think, is the family time. Man, I traveled a lot with the airlines. I was a flight mechanic in the Pacific with Aloha and was gone all the time. And also playing gigs with bands over the years. You're never home in the evening. All of a sudden, You got a tremendous amount of family time. And that's nice. That's really nice. You start making the soccer games. You start, eating with your family more. I'm very fortunate. All 4 of my daughters live close by, and all 5 of my grandchildren live close by. So I get to see them a lot. In fact, just in a couple of days here, we got my wife's pink Volkswagen convertible in the Woodlands Parade. And all my kids are going to walk along. There's a lot you can really do in retirement. You have to find it. Now, first off, you got to you have to have some health. I realize that at this age, some people don't have their health, and that puts them in a little bit different of a boat. But if you've got some health and you got, the energy and the get up and go to go playing some, well, all of a sudden you got a whole lot of time to play. And I have to admit, if you got a little bit of coin in your pocket in your retirement age, that makes that playtime a whole lot of fun. But you got to have health
Absolutely.
and you got to have some coin to spend. And well, there's just nothing like having family close by.
One thing I've noticed with people they have to they have that drive they have with work and the motivation of accomplishing things and driving towards that payday and getting things done. And they basically just segue that motivation and that drive into doing things with family, with the extra time with their children and grandchildren and even siblings, your siblings that are still around. I think those are things that give people a lot of purpose. And this one thing we said is spending time. That doesn't always mean you need to spend money. If you spend time, those are very, very valuable things, and you're helping create memories for other family
Yeah.
members, especially the younger ones. Am I right or wrong there?
No, you got it right on the money. Yeah, like you say, all of a sudden you've gone from being really busy at work to flick like a light switch, and you wonder, where's your motivation? Well, it's still there. You just have to change gears. You just have to change gears. And like they say, take some time to smell the roses if that's what you want to do, because there's a lot of good life left in you, and you got a lot of time to enjoy it now.
Right,
But you do have to
right,
switch gears. There's lots of ways you can volunteer. I'm thinking about volunteering like at a food bank or something. I don't know, maybe give harmonica lessons. But at a food
right.
bank, you like check cans all day, and you're looking for the can that says best eaten during the Reagan administration. Well, you don't give that away to the hungry. You throw that one away.
Exactly.
I think that's what it's like
Right.
working at a food bank, and
Yeah,
maybe your local dog and kitty rescue center. You can volunteer at your
absolutely.
church. There's just a whole lot you can do with yourself, but you got to get out of bed and do it, Jay. You got to get motivated in a different direction. And for once in your life, you're really not too worried about money. You're not worried about a boss,
Right.
except for the wife, of course. And you're not worried about, not having enough money to get to the next month, because by that time you probably have your finances reasonably in order. And like I said, if you got health, well, that's all you need, man.
Right, absolutely. And one thing you just said is the finances, keeping those in order. And I think that's a great piece of advice for people that are getting close, like myself, 3 to 5 years away. Is, do an inventory of your finances, look at your
Yeah,
social security, especially if you're a veteran, look into things that you may be eligible for. Check those things out.
yeah, there's a whole lot of benefits
Always,
for.
always educate yourself on Medicare, Medicaid, understand what you're getting into, interview your doctors, talk to your primary cares about them. Those are very, very important things you need to
Yeah,
transition. And the time to do it is not when you retire. The time to do that is before you retire, a
is
couple of
before you
years.
retire.
So
Actually, the time to start
absolutely.
saving that
Yep.
money is middle life. To any youngster, I would have to say, get into that 401k program, put in the max, and don't
Yeah.
spend it. You don't need a new boat when you're 40 years
Right.
old. You need it when you're 60. You don't need a new motorcycle when you're
Right.
50 years old. You need it when you're 65 and retired. Don't touch that
Right.
401, and you'll be happy that you did. But there's a lot of other
So
things that have
anyway,
to change too. In your youth, you probably don't take really good care of yourself. But when you get up there close to retirement age and you finally get to the point where you retire and you want to enjoy the next 10, 15, 20 years, whatever you might have left, well, you got to start taking care of yourself. I really I dumped a lot of my bad habits, and I do weightlifting for muscular health. I do cardio for heart and lung health, and I eat a whole lot of Bluebell ice cream for my mental health, and that really helps.
for your
But
mental.
you got to start taking care of yourself, or you're not going to spend all that coin in your pocket.
I was wondering what the point of the Bluebell hat was. I have to say that. Now I know. Now I know.
Oh yeah, I love Bluebell ice cream. They eat as much as they can, and they sell the rest.
There you go. Well, let's segue into the second question I have for you right now. And again, great responses there. And you gave it from a everyday person's point of view, not these celebrities that have the chefs cooking for them and they're workout coach and all this other stuff. So I really appreciated hearing it from an everyday person's point of view. So my second question now is, how did music in the harmonica become such an important part of your life? Because when I say part of your life, it's something that you can do throughout your life, even into your retirement. And I know you enjoy it because I've seen you come out and play with us since you've been retired and you have a wonderful time. So again, how did music and the harmonica become such an important part
Well,
of Jack
let
the
me
Rattler's
see.
life?
It all started when they let me out of prison, and I was able to. No, I was just kidding. I've never been to prison, Jay. I'm just kidding. But
You are
it,
from New Orleans now. I don't know, man. I don't
but
know.
I am from New Orleans. No, seriously. I guess I kind of started tooting around on the harmonica in the middle or the late '70s in college. I was up at North Texas State University. They call it University of North Texas now. I don't know why they changed the name. I don't think anybody knows why they changed the name. It's the same place, but I was in
Right.
Denton, Texas, and I lived. We had a four-bedroom country house with five guys in it, and a couple of them played guitar. And although I had a guitar, man, they were so good, I couldn't come anywhere near jamming with them. So I started picking up the harmonica, and they were very nice about it. They would let me squeak in the corner a little bit while I was kind of learning. Never gave me a microphone, and I don't blame them. But, Denton is a music school, it's a jazz school, and there was a jazz band that lived down the street from us called Schwantz
Okay.
LaFont, and Schwantz would let me sit in with them sometime on their practice. And I got to tell you, jazz harmonica is pretty complicated, not as easy as the blues, but
Right.
late '70s, something like that, I started getting into it. The harmonica is easy to play and hard to master. It's kind of
Right.
like an old school instrument. But I got to tell you, South Texas loves the harmonica. They really do.
Yeah. Why do you
It's
think that is?
Well, maybe the simplicity of it, the blues, South Texas loves a little bit of banjo and a little bit of accordion too with the
Absolutely.
gumbo music, but they just love the harmonica. I think maybe because everybody's probably got a harmonica. They've got one maybe from their grandpa, or they bought a $10 special at Wally Mart one day or something, and they've just never gotten around to learn how to play it. And maybe before this, what's this called? A podcast?
A podcast.
A
Yes, sir.
podcast on YouTube. I just discovered YouTube yesterday. This is pretty cool. I'm just kidding. But
I know you
everybody
are.
everybody's probably got a harmonica. They just don't have any direction on how to play it. And at the end of this
Right.
YouTube podcast, I want to give just a quick 60-second harmonica lesson that anybody that's got a harmonica in their top drawer, they can pull it out and move pretty fast. But
There you go.
what I like about it the most is the portability. It fits in my pocket. I get there
Yeah.
and the bass player, my gosh, he's pulling out these big bass amps and two guitars. He's got a half a Volkswagen van full of equipment. The drummer, my gosh, the drummer brings in an 18 wheeler. Every
Yep.
time a gig is over with you guys, I look at my good friend Steve as he starts to break down
Oh,
his drum
man.
kit, and I put my harmonica in my pocket and I go home. I have to admit, it's really convenient.
The harmonica, you with the harmonica or Jerry with the microphone. Y'all just put it in your
That's
pocket and
right.
y'all are ready
That's
to
right.
go.
Jerry pulls up with a microphone and a short cord, sits there and has a cocktail doing her nails while she's waiting for the sound check. I know it.
And
Jerry and I have the
I'm the
life.
bass player with hardly anything to bring. I got my bass and a bass amp, but I've got all the equipment, which makes it a little rougher on me. And then poor Steve. Steve is one of the best drummers that I've ever played with. And man,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
poor guy, he's
Stevie's
got all
good. Yeah,
kind of
he's
stuff.
real good. Yeah, he can
And
sit down and
man,
play with anybody
wow.
in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not only that, I'm really glad that I picked the harmonica because, with all due respect to all the guitar players I know, there's a lot of good guitar players out there. But Jay,
Yeah.
there's not very many good harmonica players out there. And when you
No.
get up there
No.
and just blast open a PA system with a good rock song, and I always like to look at the people in the audience when I first just open up and really just give it all. And I like to watch the expression on their faces. They're like, holy cow. I
Right.
haven't heard harmonica like that in a long time. But I
I've
did
seen
pick the right.
when we've had gigs and you really just start blasting away. I've seen people turn around like, "Who the hell is
Yeah.
that?" And they're looking like,
Well,
"Wow, man," and we
they
get the
love the
biggest kick out of
harmonica.
that.
They really do.
Yes,
They're thinking, I
absolutely.
got one of those in my panty drawer I need to pull out and start using. But South
Right.
Texas loves the harmonica. I
No
actually
doubt
play a
about
lot
that.
of stringed instruments too, but I'm not near good enough to play with the caliber of the people that I play with. Like at Bio Junctions and some of the other bands that I've had the privilege of playing with. They're really, really good. In fact,
Yeah.
I buy a new stringed instrument every year for my birthday, and I have for over 30 years. So the music museum is what I call it at my house. I have a really nice collection of guitars and ukuleles and violins and dulcimers and mandolins and yada, yada, yada. The only thing I really got good enough to play in a band was the harmonica. And when it comes time
Very
to
nice.
packing up that band, I'm really glad it's a harmonica.
I love it. But like we said, Jack, in the question, it's something that's an important part of your life. And it didn't matter if you were still employed, you know, pre-retirement or now like you are in retirement, you could still play whenever you want. And what's amazing about it is you say it's so portable, it's easy for you to show up and just play. But I want you to give us a quote that you tell us about when you go play with a new group or something and they say, "Oh, a harmonica player," and but you give them that
Yeah.
one opening line that
Well,
it really registers with them.
every band has got a nightmare, bad dream story about the harmonica player they let on stage. But,
Right.
being with United, Marianne and I, we've been around the world twice. And I got to tell you, on my YouTube station, I really do know what YouTube is. It's called the Ratler
No, you
One.
do.
On my YouTube station, the opening video that Marianne has shot over about 15 years. I call her my little tripod. It took about 15 years to make this video. It's playing with probably 35 bands in about 10 or 12 different countries.
Wow.
But,
Wow.
you got to be
Amazing.
dollar bill in the tip jar always helps. But when
Yeah.
somebody asks me, they'll say, I'll say, hey, I got a harmonica. Can I maybe play with you guys? And they say, well, what key do you have? And I'll say, well, I have all the keys. And there they get a little bit of interest. And then I say, but I
Right.
know the most important thing a harmonica player needs to know. And usually the lead guitar player will come over and say, what? What's that? And I says, I know when not to play. And all of a
Right.
sudden, they get friendly. And as soon as I
Hey.
get to play that one song, I normally play two or three of them. But
Nice.
that $20 bill in the tip jar helps too. It's important to know, Jay, when not to play the harmonica. When Jerry's up there
Absolutely.
belting out and just crying the blues or rock, whatever she's doing, I am not playing when she's singing. If your lead guitar player is over there just riffing up a fantastic lead riff, I'm not playing. You play a little bit at the end of each line, and when it's your turn, you open up full blast. But
Right.
when not to play is a really important thing you need to know. And that usually
Absolutely.
gets me up on
Absolutely.
stage. And if you ever watch that video, it's in Rome, it's in Tel Aviv, it's in Australia,
Wow.
it's around the world with Jack the Rattler is what it's called. And that always helps. Yeah, that little line, I know when not to play, always seems to
Right.
get me on stage. But,
And I
I
always
was
watch.
saying, I like to play guitar and ukulele too and whatnot. I'm just not good enough. I have written a song for Jerry, which she hasn't heard yet. It's on the tenor resonating ukulele. And someday I'm going to play it for her. It's really cute. I think she's going to like it. In fact, someday I'm going to write a song for you, Jay. It's going to be called Deep, Deep in the Pocket with JayBo or something like that.
There you go. Well, Jerry's birthday's in December, so maybe you can target that as a date. But I know how you retirement guys are with timelines and all that now, you know. All right.
Hey there, don't go away. We'll be right back with more of In the Pocket with JayBo right after this message from our sponsor.
What if your marketing team could think faster, create smarter, and adapt instantly? At AI Infused Communications, we combine human strategy with cutting edge artificial intelligence. Because the future of marketing isn't human or AI, it's both. From websites and content creation to digital ads, branding, and automation, we operate beyond traditional marketing limits. Powerful ideas scaled fast. We don't use AI just because it's trendy. We use it to drive real results, leads, growth, and impact. If you're ready to future-proof your brand without losing your voice, let's infuse your marketing with intelligence.
Third question, last question, Arab, is what advice would you give someone who is approaching retirement? Retirement's coming up soon and worried about losing their purpose. Let's expound on that a little bit because to me, that's a
Okay.
very important thing. And that's dealing with mental health as well.
As you're
That
approaching
can be tough.
retirement and you know you're going to reach your goal, you can become a much nicer person at work because you don't have to worry about some youngster taking your job because you only got a couple of years left and you know they're going to keep you till you retire. In fact, you actually
Right.
start being nice to the youngsters and you start training them for their career and teaching them things that some people ask and some people don't. But you can really start to chill out your last couple of years at work. Not riding the gravy train or anything, but you just kind of take another attitude because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So you just become a nicer person. I spent a
Right.
lot of time teaching youngsters a whole lot about aviation safety and how there's just no substitute for it. It takes a lot of dollars to make and operate a safe commercial aircraft, and you don't cut any corners anytime, anywhere, any place.
No.
That's what makes commercial aviation so safe, is there's just no shortcuts in it. And believe it or not, there's really not. All the bad things you hear about airlines, that's just social media garbage. There is a
Sure.
whole
Sure.
lot to hurling 300 people in a pressurized tube through the air at 40,000 feet at 450 miles an hour, and your chicken and your fish comes out reasonably tasty and warm. There's a whole lot to
Right.
it, Jay, and there's just no shortcuts you can take. So you want to
Absolutely.
teach younger
Absolutely.
kids that think they're on the fast track that you have to take your time and do it right and do it right the first time. And then some of the other things we talked about earlier, your purpose. Well, you're here to serve God and your wife. And there's a whole lot you can do in the community. You got your health, you got a little coin in your pocket. In my case, my gosh, I live on a boat, and my
Right.
sweet wife
Right.
lets me live on a boat. She usually comes out a couple nights during the week, and I take her to one of the restaurants here. And then I go home every weekend to fix something or to, like I said, remind her that she is married. But living on a boat, this is our third boat out here over 12 years. And I have really
Nice.
enjoyed it. Once they told you had to, during the pandemic, they said, go home and work out of your house. Well, I never told my boss that my house was on pontoons and it was a house.
Right.
But I got to work off my boat for 2 years. As terrible as the pandemic was, I tried to make the best out of it. But,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
as you're getting ready for retirement, look at your health, get your doctors in line, look at your money, figure out what kind of budget you're going to be using as soon as those big paychecks go away. And don't
Yep.
believe what they say about Social Security is going to disappear by your age. They used to tell me that when I was 15 years old. Oh, this is a joke. It's not going to be there when you get 70. Bull poop. I tell you, there's no way that the government's going to let millions of baby boomers starve. They're just going to tax the younger generation more. They're
Right.
never
Well,
going to
they'll
run out of
figure it
money
out.
for old people in this country.
They'll figure it
Don't
out.
believe what you hear.
Well, I remember before when we were talking about the podcast, we had a little meeting, little lunch about it, which I really enjoyed. And you brought up a term, and I think it's something you had with a song, but just remind me, I want to be a turtle. What is that?
I want to be a turtle. Jordan Whalen, I think, is the guy's name that wrote that song. Back in high school, back in the 70s, my gang, so to speak, we called ourselves the Big Turtles. That's just what we called ourselves. Sitting on a log, being lazy, craning our necks all day. But in fact, we just had our 50-year reunion right here on this boat. It's funny. I invited like
Cool.
34 people thinking 6 would show up. 31 people showed up. I've never had so many people on this boat, but it's a testament to how good it was back in the 70s and what good friends we made back then. And we're still really good friends. So we all wanted to be turtles. And it's just a cute little song about, I want to chill out all day. You know, I don't want to leave that. It's just really cute. It's a song called I Want to Be a Turtle. You can look it up on YouTube. I have to admit, he did a good
All
job
right.
on it. I'm trying to learn it on guitar, but my guitar work will never be enough to, really play it well. But
I love it. I remember us talking about that. It just came up in my mind. I know one thing we had talked about on the first podcast that you did with me back in season 1, and you caught yourself just sitting around watching TV all the time. You said you were sitting there with some chips or something, and you gave me this little
yeah.
marble that I still have
Oh,
to
you
this
still
day. I
got your marble.
keep it in a very valuable spot.
That's
So
good. I'm glad you kept it.
I love it, and it's
There's a
extremely
lot to
valuable
that.
to me. If you don't mind, I would like you to tell us a story
Okay.
about why you ended up with these marbles.
Because it's a life-changing event, and I highly recommend it to anyone. Seriously, 25 or 30 years ago, I got 4 daughters. They're all pretty young, and life's good. But I'm sitting on my couch watching TV in my SpongeBob underwear. I got a bag of Cheetos in one hand and a remote control in the other hand. I'm 40 pounds overweight. I got flight benefits to go anywhere I want, anytime in the world. And I'm sitting at home watching TV. Well, I flipped out that night. I actually pulled the TV off of the wall in the kitchen. And my daughters, they thought I had flipped out. They're like, oh my gosh, Dad's gone overboard. And I took the TV out and I threw it in the swimming pool. And I said, that's it, girls. I'm done watching TV. And that TV sat in the swimming pool for about a week. They were petrified. But I tell you, it was a life-changing event for me. I realized I was wasting my life. I had all this opportunity, all this, and I'm sitting there watching TV. Give me a break. So I went out and I bought a big jar of marbles. And it was about 17 or 1800 marbles. It was about $100, which was a lot of money back then. And what it did mathematically represented how many weekends I had in life left if I lived to be 72 years old. Well, every Friday, I took a marble out of that jar, which was about this big when I first got it. It's about this big now. And every Friday, I'd put that marble in my pocket and I would remind myself, get out and live life. Just, burn both ends of your candle as hard as you can all day, every day. Have fun on the weekend because Monday's coming and you got to go back to the grind. Jay, that was a life-changing event for me. My marbles are all over the world. They're in the Da Vinci Fountain. They're in the Sydney Opera House. They're all through the Caribbean.
Wow.
They're in the Roman Colosseum. They're on top of the Eiffel Tower. They're on top of the Swiss mountain. Everywhere I've gone, I put my Friday marble wherever I'm at. They're all through the Galapagos Islands. It was a life-changing event. And I watch so little TV now. I don't play video games. Probably because my grandson would kick my butt to Pizza Hut on video games because he's really good. But I don't watch a monitor very much at all. I spend my time out here fishing. And if I don't go anywhere, I give my Friday marble to somebody I really like and respect. And that's why you got that yellow one, is because you're the GOAT. No doubt. Yeah, you got your yellow marble. Well, I only got about this many marbles left in my jar. And I picked 72 years because back then that was the life expectancy of a white male in a first world country. Well, it's gotten a little longer now with technology and everything. So when I hit 72, which is just a couple years away, I'll go out and buy some more marbles. It'll be a small bag, but I'm going to continue that Friday marble as long as I can. And I got to tell you, it's a life-changing event. I highly recommend it to everyone. Turn the TV off.
I love it.
Put the Cheetos away and get out and live, love, and laugh up your life, buddy, because you only get one shot.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I love that story, and I really appreciate you telling it. I've heard it a few times. I just enjoy it, and I thought the audience would love to hear that story. And I think the motto you always say about losing your marbles is what, Jack?
What was
It's
that?
not bad to lose your marble.
My daughters tell me I'm losing my marbles one Friday at a time. Yeah.
Right.
But they are literally all over the world. And I recommend it to anybody. Don't sit at home. Get out there and
love it.
love, live, and laugh up your life.
Absolutely. Well, look, we're getting close to wrapping everything up, but I know you want to give like a little mini lesson here, and I'd love for you to do it if you feel it up to it still.
Thank you. And this will be brief because I probably have to go to the bathroom soon. But like I said, everybody's got a harmonica in their pocket, and they've always wondered how, when am I ever going to learn to play this thing? Well, I'm going to give you a quick 60-second lesson. Okay.
All right.
There's two positions you're going to play harmonica in, and I don't mean sitting down and standing up. It's called first position and second position. First position is very hard. If the guitar is in the key of G and you pick up a G harmonica, you have to play first position. And what that is every note on that sheet of music, you have to hit it just right to make it sound right. And that's actually pretty hard to do because it's a melody that has to hit just right every note, like the white keys on the piano. Now, Stevie Wonder plays a lot of first position because, darn, he's Stevie Wonder. But 90% of what you hear out there and 100% of what you hear from me is called second position crossed harp. And it's just as easy as this. You're going to go 3 whole notes up. If the guitar is playing blues in the key of A, that's what you heard a minute ago or back at the beginning of this video. That was blues in the key of A. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Go A, B, C, D. That was a D harmonica, and that's called cross harp, second position. If the guitar is in the key of G, A, B, C, B, C, you use a C harmonica. And when you start with second position, it becomes so easy. The online harmonica courses, hey, look, there goes a boat. The online harmonica courses, they always want to teach you first position because it's going to take you years to learn first position. But when you know second position, cross harp, 3 whole notes up from whatever key the guitar is playing in, it becomes real easy. And now you got all this modern technology of backing tracks. Like if you're a country player, go to backing tracks in the key of C or the key of G, country music backing tracks, and a YouTube video will pop up and there's a band in the box and you can sit there and play cross harp all day long. If you're going to play harmonica, it's probably going to be blues. So you're asking for blues backing tracks, blues shuffle in the key of A, and you're going to use a D harmonica and do just what I did. Try that, and I guarantee that harmonica will stay out of your panty drawer, and it'll be in your pocket all the time, and you'll be playing a lot. You'll get good fast if you start learning to play cross harp, and that's my lesson.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, Jack. I knew about the 3 notes up because you told me about that, and everything you just said I've learned because you educated me on those types of things because I was very curious. I actually had a harmonica when I was maybe about 12 years old. I used to love playing that thing. I didn't know anything I was doing, or I don't even know what key it was in. It just came in a little rectangular box. That's all I knew. And I'd just walk around the house playing it, just whatever, And I'd hear the harmonica on like Bugs Bunny or something like that, and it just intrigued me when I was young. So that's how I had an interest in it when I was younger. And I wish to God I would have kept playing it. And seeing what you've accomplished in your career with playing harmonica it's just amazing. Like you said, I love watching people's reactions when you play. That is so much fun.
I do enjoy it, Jay. Those 10 little holes have been really good to me, I got to admit. And like always, this has been a pleasure. It's almost time to either go fishing or go eat dinner or take a nap. It'll probably be option 3 for the old man. But it's been a pleasure. And is that about it? Are we finished?
No, not yet. I just want to make sure. Did we miss anything? Did we miss anything, or is there anything else you wanted to cover? Or
well, no, not necessarily. I thought we were finished because if I could, you know me, I'm an old man, and in the words of Forrest Gump, I gotta pee.
All right, guys. Well, I think Jack is gone, so I'm going to wrap up here for us. I guess Jack really had to go. So that was the quickest exit we've ever had on the In the Pocket with JayBo podcast. And I really appreciate him coming on. He's been a pleasure. He's always very positive and upbeat and just an absolute fantastic guy to be around all the time. I want to remind everybody you can catch all the full episodes on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And we advertise the show, as we said previously, primarily on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, and on LinkedIn as well. So we're on all your favorite podcast platforms. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And as always, we'll catch you on the flip side for the next episode of In the Pocket with JayBo. Thank y'all very much. Bye-bye.